Hey everybody, Paranormal Video Gamer here. So I just got done finishing the Nintendo Direct for the Switch 2 announcement. I gotta say, I'm a little disappointed. I own a Switch. I don't play a whole lot on my channel because it is a pain in the butt to kind of record gameplay on. The way that they set up gameplay on it is kind of redundant in a way because they didn't really think about streaming services and things like that now. With the new Switch, they're going to have Discord support, so I guess that's okay, but there's still not really a good way that I see with streaming. Because if you haven't seen the gameplay that they showed, there's a lot of lag, and it does not look good. I'll be completely honest. Um, I'm going to wait a while to get a Switch 2, like I did with the Switch. I waited a little over a year and a half, two, um, in order to get one. As because Parawife actually bought it for me because I was actually going to wait a couple more months before I got it, but she kind of surprised me ahead. Um, but yeah, Mario Kart World looks good. It looks much better than the previous Mario Kart game. Um, the thing that I'm a little, I guess, concerned is that they still haven't put in a massive hard drive for the system. It is only 256 gigabytes for your save data and games, which the Switch version I think was 32 or 64. But still, Nintendo has still not put in a 1 terabyte SSD card or system. And I get it, they want it to be like, straight up mobile and you could pick it up and play it anywhere type thing. I get that, okay? Totally cool. I use mine mostly on the dock, my original Switch. But only having 256 gigs, if you buy a bunch of games, and hi Ember, that's Ember by the way, that's the new kitty. She's really come out of her shell lately. But if you buy games and you want a couple games, and each game takes 30 to 60 gigabytes, you're going to fill up that 256 very quickly. And if you don't buy, I guess, a certain type of memory card with Nintendo, um, most SD cards will not work with the Switch 2. And that's another thing that kind of bothers me a little bit, that they couldn't even have the decency to say, okay, yeah, you can use whatever SD card that you want to spend money on. You do not necessarily have to buy it from us, because that's what they're going to do. They're going to lock memory cards, I have a feeling, just to Nintendo brand memory cards that you cannot use third party, and that sucks. Controller looks cool. It looks like it's a little bit of an update, which is a good thing, especially the magnetic portion of the controller looks really, really cool. But again, 256 gigabytes, and you're not going to allow people to actually buy their cards that they want to use. You expect them to buy only certain types. There's a Sam's Club one, a SanDisk one that they advertised on the video, and those are specialty cards. So you're probably again gonna have to buy it from Nintendo or a retailer at Nintendo that sells those particular cards. You're not going to be able to go to Walmart, pick up, a, let's say, a 1 terabyte memory card so you can put more games on your system. And that's another thing that kind of bothers me. They still have not, again, they only 256 gigs. You would think Nintendo would say, okay, so we need to have more memory in this system. If we have to make the system a little bigger in order to implement that that type of memory, then let's do it. Now, having the fan on the back of the system, very cool when it's in the dock. But again, the memory issue is probably the biggest thing for me. Because, like I said, 50, 40, 30 gigabyte games, you're going to fill up on that thing very quick. And even if you buy one of the cards, specialty cards that they're showing and advertising, you're still going to have a problem, because if you fill up your system and then you fill up that card, and you can't go any more than let's say a 256 or a 500 gigabyte memory card, you're screwed. You won't be able to download a bunch of games and play them right away. So, again, I'm a little disappointed with the Switch 2 and what I saw. And then, here's another thing that's really going to really peel a lot of people, I have a feeling, and that is the price increase for the games. They're advertising the new Mario Kart at $80, $79.99. And then you got the system, which is almost $500. Okay? So, that's literally about $700 for a system that is going to probably be less performance-wise. Now, they did increase it to possibly 120 frames per second, but how many games are actually going to do that? Most of them are going to be 60, and there's going to be a lot of them that are going to be 30 frames per second, because the way that they showed that video with the streaming that the people were doing with their friends, I'm telling you, there are going to be games like a lot of the multiplayer games are going to do only 30, because the hardware cannot handle it. Switch, the actual Switch I have, sometimes the frame rate will actually dip down to about 20, I figure. So I can't even imagine what would happen when they put that out and they start doing updates to it, and it takes up more memory, and they have to do things to increase the performance. So it's going to take more off of your memory in order to increase the performance to get 60 frames per second. So, oh my, this does not bode well for Nintendo, in my opinion. The Switch sold a lot. It did sell a lot of units, and I understand why they want to make another Switch and put Switch 2 out in June. I understand that, but again, it's rough. I mean, it is really rough, and with, like I said, the memory card, the added price in video games, I mean, it's an extra $10 per game, and you know, if you're going to buy a game for $80 and they're still going to charge you for DLC, you're getting screwed. You're literally getting screwed. And I don't know, I think Nintendo is starting to lose its way in terms of understanding where customers are. Customers don't want to pay $80, and they don't want to have to pay another $20, $40 for DLC. They kind of just want to buy a game with everything included in it, maybe like a season pass for $10. I understand if it's $80 and you get all the DLC included for $10. Okay, fine. I'm cool with that. $79, tax $81, and you get a season pass with that $10 that whenever happens in the future for that game, you get. Awesome. Cool. Sign me up. But $80 for the base game is, at least for me, it's ridiculous. I understand that they're saying, oh yeah, games cost a lot of money to make. I get that. But overcharging people for a game that you've only done with a half butt, I should say, is not the right answer. And I think Nintendo is really, really going to be hurting this upcoming season when they go to sell the Switch 2. And I think a lot of people are not going to buy it, because they're going to be like, they're going to see that video and they're going to be like, no. Well, that's my thoughts. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Later, all.